Well, good morning. I'm David Combe with the CBS AM Debrief. It's Thursday the 17th of March, just on 8:30 AM. Things not looking real good on overnight market action. The Dow was down a little bit over 2%, 2.04, and there seems to be further follow-on on some of the concerns in Japan. Not the least of which, of course, as we all know, the nuclear threat of nuclear meltdown there. But there's now something like two-fifths of the country's electricity supply is now out of action. And of course, we've seen some of the big manufacturers there, I believe Honda, Sony, so on, shutting down factories. This, of course, will not just affect these big companies, but it's right across the economy. And Japan remains the third biggest economy in the world, and this is not being interpreted at all that well. The other thing to be mindful of is the tensions in the Gulf region with regards to the Shia majority in Bahrain now being supported. At least some saber rattling going on there by the Iranians, who are not too happy that the Sunni-dominated Saudi troops are moving into that region. So really creating a bit of a perfect storm here. At least it's looking that way this morning on our SPY futures, pointing down 76 points here to 4,491. So not really looking for a good opening here. Going back to the rest of the indices, S&P 500 1.95, so a little bit less of a move down there. Nasdaq 1.89, and the rest of the Americas down similarly. Europe, pretty grim picture as well, sort of between 1.5% and in the case of the DAX 2, and the Euro Stoxx 50 2.26. So again, big moves down there. Yesterday's close was actually reasonably positive. We did see that bounce on the Nikkei, the Hang Seng up 22, and the S&P 200 up 29.5. Nikkei pointing down 200 at this point, and the Hang Seng up 49. Let's take a look at what's happening in the commodities. We're actually seeing crude push up here a little bit, 98.29, and natural gas off just 0.003. In our commodities space, we had some of the bigger movers were soybeans up 1.39, sugar up 0.78, and wheat up just 0.16, canola up 1.7, and coffee up 0.91. And for big movers to the downside, corn down 3.07, cotton down 3.05, orange juice down just under 1%, and wheat down negative 0.86%, oats down 2.78, and that's the majors there, apart from rock price down 0.89. Copper up 4.7 to $4.18. Now, one would suspect that we will see some pretty strong demand here for this rebuilding that's going to have to take place in Japan, but whether or not that's impacting here directly, I just don't know. Gold up $5.90 to 1,398, and silver at 34.21.5, up 0.098. Moving on to looking at currencies. Euro is buying 1.3905, the pound is buying 1.6027, and the US dollar is buying 79.4198. Now, we are seeing a lot of Japanese yen strength here because of the carry trade that's being unwound, so a lot of money is coming back into Japan to pay for things there. The Aussie now only buying 98.23 US dollars. US dollar buying 99.19 Canadian, and the US dollar buying 0.9076 Swiss francs. Okay, let's take a look at the economic calendar for this Thursday. A little bit of data out of Japan on the Treasury index month on month for January. Expectations there 1.4, previous negative 0.8, and then some Chinese data and then some Swiss data out a little bit later on this afternoon or early this evening, of which we've got the National Bank rates decision. That's expected to stay at 0.25%. That's really the only significant data for today. CPI data out of the US later on tonight, and industrial production figures and the Philadelphia Fed numbers for March out in the early hours of tomorrow morning. Okay, let's take a quick look at the Falcon Trader before we wrap up. I know this is a stock that I was mentioning, I think, on Tuesday, AGL, and given that it is likely that the uranium industry, that form of electricity generation, is probably fair to say going to be out of favour for quite some time. We look at other forms of energy that are going to be coming into demand, and that includes obviously for Japan, something they can ship in fairly quickly and generate electricity, which is liquefied natural gas. AGL has extensive acreage in that area, and although the utilities sector has been sold off pretty significantly overall, if we look at that index, we've come down here to a level of old support, and it does seem to have got the makings of a bit of a reversal pattern here, and we know where we can put our stop loss and put that in a fairly tight position here to look for a move back up here. So other companies there that might be ones to look at include LNG, which is building that LNG train up at Gladstone in Queensland. That's still some time away from being completed, but we can see here pretty clear indications that that's had a bounce since Monday, and there's a couple of other names to look at, which I will do some further research on. Just on some of these uranium stocks, whether or not you wanted to take a view on these having been oversold, we can look at, for example, Paladin. Most of these, after being sold down, in some cases 30–40%, did put in a little bit of a bounce yesterday. Be interesting to see how that pans out. So there's the run up on Paladin, down to near the low $3 or $3.20, put on about 50 cents yesterday. Another big mover was Bannerman. Again, similar move. Here we were trading up at that out of the way, up around 80 cents. We're now almost half that value, starting to recover that. Crossland Uranium Mines is a bit of a uranium junior operating out of the Northern Territory. Yeah, back down at this sort of well, a bit of resistance here, but yeah, it certainly seems to have paused there momentarily. Let's take a quick look at the index here before I wind things up, and there we are. Now, if the futures sees us come back down and retest this low down here around 44.50, if that holds, there's some reason to hope that this will be the low, and we'll put in some consolidation here and hopefully grind higher. But if not, we're looking back down here at the 42s and 43s. I would have thought is the next level of support. Okay, so I think wind that up here, and wish everyone a good day, and good luck with the trading, and until next time, bye bye.